OTAs have started, which means training camp's not too far away, which means the most wonderful time in the year is almost upon us, the start of football season. But with OTA starting means there's drama already happening within the NFL and some things that could trickle into training camp. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the most compelling storylines coming up in NFL training camp. But before we get too much further, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that little bell notification to make sure you get alerted to all of our videos here. We have been growing so much. We are now at 1,200 subscribers, and I want to thank every single one of you who's already subscribed. It really means so much. If you're new to the channel, I recently got laid off. It's been a really tricky time, and the rejection letters from LinkedIn are starting to feel a little personal. So I just want to thank everyone who has already subscribed, and if you feel that I've earned it today, please feel free to hit that subscribe button as well. But let's get back to the video. As I mentioned, OTAs have started, so we're going to be breaking down some of the stories that are already happening, plus some questions we have going into training camp. Starting off with number 10. What is happening with Aaron Rodgers? Now, the reason this is only at number 10 is because I've already made a video about this, and you guys can check it out. I'll link it down in the description below. The Steelers are in a really weird time right now. It's kind of bizarre that they don't have a true fleshed out quarterback option outside of Mason Rudolph. I like Will Howard personally, but I still think he's going to need some time to develop to turn into even a resourceful backup. So for the Steelers to literally be going in with just Mason Rudolph seems a little crazy. And with everything going on with Aaron Rodgers lately, going on podcasts, talking about his feelings about this situation, it's adding more pressure to the Steelers. There are reports coming out that they do have a backup plan, possibly trading for Kirk Cousins. It puts the Steelers in a really odd position. So what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? Is he going to retire, or is he going to play for the Steelers? Because the only other team that really needs a quarterback is the Saints, and he adamantly said he is not playing for the Saints over the past weekend.
Would you ever consider playing for the Saints and making us great again? Because you know.
No.
I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. Personally, I think he is going to end up playing for the Steelers. Speaking of Kirk Cousins, the Falcons have a couple players missing from their OTAs. One of them is Kirk Cousins, like I mentioned, which could indicate that a trade is possibly coming because the guy's too good to be a backup. He's too good, he's got too much in the tank, and he's making way too much money to be sitting behind Michael Penix. So Kirk sitting out isn't really that shocking. I think that a move could be happening, so we'll see. The one that is kind of surprising is Kyle Pitts. Yes, he sat out last season's OTAs as well, but this season really seems like he should have really been going. It's not uncommon for players to sit out OTAs, but with where the Falcons are, especially in a very winnable division in the NFC South, it's kind of shocking to see Kyle sitting this one out. It is being reported that Kyle Pitts is missing OTAs due to a foot injury, but the Falcons also set a very steep price for him if he were to be traded. So which is it? Are they going to be trading him, or is it really due to a foot injury? That's going to be really interesting to watch here in the next few weeks. Next up is the Dolphins cornerback battle. The Dolphins are a team that really kind of fall apart due to Tua Tagovailoa getting injured. Their offense is usually ready to go, but the way Tua plays football, he unfortunately gets hurt a lot. This year, however, it might be their defense. Right now, their cornerback room is basically Jalen Ramsey, and he just requested a trade away from the team. The Dolphins spent a second-round pick a couple years ago on Cam Smith, and he has not developed as quickly as they thought, but he is getting better. They also have undrafted free agent from last season, Storm Duck, who played about 350 snaps with the Dolphins, and he actually did pretty decently, so he could also develop. They're a team that is really on the cusp of being playoff contenders, going deep runs, but it all is dependent on the health of Tua as well as their defense, because their offense looks pretty set. I'd argue they have the best wide receiver room in the league. But what they look like on defense is really going to answer the question of what they're going to do this season. So the cornerback battle is something I'm really looking at and seeing what's going to play out there. Number 7, what will the New York Jets look like? The Jets were in an interesting position. They could have drafted QB in the first round of the draft this year, but they decided to go with offensive line instead, which they need to solidify that. There's no doubt about that. They're a team that honestly feels like they're a quarterback away. Yeah, their offensive line isn't the best, but it's serviceable. That's why 2 years ago when they signed Aaron Rodgers, the Jets were instant playoff contenders. But his injury derailed all of that. The Jets literally have an offense that could go. They have Garrett Wilson at receiver. They have Breece Hall at running back, who is a very, very skilled man. And they just need that quarterback position. The Jets ended up signing Justin Fields, which was kind of a shocking move. Nothing against Justin, but he just hasn't proven himself to be that quarterback who can get you over that hump. No, I personally think the Jets really do believe in Justin Fields. So I'm very curious to see what that offense looks like and how they perform throughout the season, but mostly through training camp. What are they going to do? They're going to have to change their offense a bit because Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields do not play the same type of football. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they utilize Breece Hall in a different way, Garrett Wilson in a different way, so I'm really excited to see what the Jets become. Number 6, the Giants quarterback battle. Sticking in New York, the Giants signed Russell Wilson this offseason, which was a decent signing. He's a serviceable quarterback for a team that really has been underwhelming in the last few seasons. Yes, they have great weapons like Malik Neighbors, but they just aren't really contenders yet. So signing Wilson as kind of like that stopgap quarterback, draft some more guys, things like that, really seemed like the right answer. Then the Giants drafted Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is a real question mark as far as the NFL goes because he's somebody you could realistically plug and play and see how he does, or he could benefit just sitting behind Russell Wilson for 1 year and seeing what you have next year. The reason that I find this battle interesting is it almost parallels exactly what happened with Russell Wilson in his rookie year. Granted, Jackson Dart was a first-round pick, Russell was a third-round pick. The rest of the story kind of lines up perfectly. In Russell's rookie season, the Seahawks ended up signing somebody named Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn really had one great game that got him a fat contract, and he never really lived up to it. He's literally one of those players who's made so much money for being not that great. So there's that. The Seahawks ended up drafting Wilson in the 3rd round, and going into training camp, it was basically presumed that Matt Flynn would be that starter. They paid him all that money, so it only made sense. Russell ended up beating him out and becoming the starter for the Seahawks his rookie season. It would be a very interesting storyline to see if that's exactly what happens with Jackson Dart. So it's something I do want to keep my eye on, see who's getting those first team reps. Is it going to be something where Jackson Dart overtakes Russell towards the start of the season, or are they going to start with Russell at quarterback, see how he does, and then eventually phase Jackson Dart in? Personally, I kind of like the history repeating itself aspect. I would love to see Jackson Dart overtake that spot, but we'll see what the Giants are doing. Number 5, what position will Travis Hunter play? The Jags trading up for Travis Hunter was a shocking move, moving up from 5 to number 2, giving up some assets, but getting their guy. Granted, drafting somebody like Travis Hunter really is like getting 2 players in one because he does play both sides of the ball in college. A lot of people believe that he is going to play both sides of the ball, and currently Jacksonville does have him doing both at rookie camp and OTAs, but it's really going to be curious to see what he does in the long run. Granted, the Jaguars already have Brian Thomas Jr., so they already have a very good receiver. They do need help at cornerback, so it would make sense starting him out at corner, and I personally think it would benefit him starting at corner because then he can understand different coverages, things like that at the NFL level, and then adapt to it and learn how to beat it as a wide receiver. But that's just what I think. It's ultimately going to depend on what the Jags need. So watching that training camp, watching preseason, it's really going to determine where they're going to play Travis. They've been giving interviews saying that they're not going to have him play offense and defense in the same day just to make it easier on him. Again, I think he should go to DB first, then transition to wide receiver. Pretty excited to watch that one. Number 4, the Browns quarterback battle. The Browns are another one of those teams that always just feels like they're a quarterback away. They ended up trading for Deshaun Watson a few years ago, even with a bunch of allegations, and let's just say it hasn't worked out very well for them. They gave up a ton of assets to the Texans to get him, and those assets have turned into some amazing players for the Texans. Meanwhile, the Browns are just kind of treading water. So much so that it was almost rumored that Myles Garrett would be traded, but he ended up resigning instead. The Browns looked like they were trying to address this situation. They signed Joe Flacco. They traded for Kenny Pickett. They drafted Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. So it really is going to be an interesting quarterback battle. In rookie minicamp, it looked like it was between Shedeur and Dylan, and depending on who you ask, some people said Shedeur did better, other people said Dylan did better. So not sure how to take that. But with OTAs underway, it looks like the Browns have Joe Flacco penciled in as that starting quarterback, which personally I think is their best move. He's already been with the team. He got them to the playoffs. Yeah, he's getting older, but he's not the long-term solution. He's going to be that stopgap quarterback for hopefully one of the rookies they drafted, if not whoever they're going to draft in the future. So I'm really curious to see how this battle plays out. I think somebody will get cut. Personally, I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett because they invested draft picks in both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, that cutting Kenny really is a zero-loss game at that point. And the Browns are going to be a team that I'm going to be keeping my eye on a little bit more this offseason. Editing Justin here, and apparently the Browns wanted to slap me across the face after I started making this video because apparently Kenny Pickett is now ahead in the quarterback battle. So again, very interesting watch, the Cleveland Browns here. Number 3, the Cowboys running back situation. Last season, the Cowboys went with Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott as a running back by committee. It didn't work very well. And this season, Rico Dowdle actually went to Carolina, and Ezekiel Elliott was released by the Cowboys before the playoffs last season so he could go to a contender. This season, it looks like they want to go back by committee. They signed Javonte Williams as well as Miles Sanders, and they drafted Jaden Blue out of Texas as a rookie. All 3 of these running backs have completely different running styles. And currently, I think that's the Cowboys' issue. They don't have a strong running game to support Dak and the receiving core. And the receiving core is ready to go. With CeeDee Lamb on one side and George Pickens on the other, they really have a two-headed monster at that point. So getting the running back right is going to be very important for the Cowboys. Again, a team that the defense looks pretty solid, looks like they're almost ready to go. So having their offense being a turnkey answer for their defense is going to be huge. But for a team that's literally saying that they didn't like the committee last year, it's very interesting that they have 3 different style running backs. Personally, I think they are going to have to end up doing the committee unless Blue just comes out and blows Javonte Williams and Sanders out of the water, which is a possibility, but I just don't see it happening right away. I think they're going to start with a commit. And personally, I think Javonte Williams is going to suit the Cowboys offense much, much better, be a great check down option, as well as being a heavy hitting running back. But both Sanders and Williams have a problem. They're getting older. And if the NFL's taught us anything, the more running backs used, usually they start breaking down sooner. So I don't think that Williams would have the job the full season. I think Blue would eventually come in and take over. But again, it's going to be depending on what they do in training camp. Are they going to go first by committee, or are they going to give somebody that opportunity to be that lead back? We shall see. Number 2, what are the Vikings going to look like with JJ McCarthy? The Vikings drafted JJ McCarthy last year as their answer for quarterback behind Sam Darnold. However, McCarthy ended up getting hurt his rookie season and having to sit out the entire thing. Sam Darnold would lead the Vikings to the playoffs, but end up losing and then going to sign off with the Seahawks. This leaves JJ McCarthy as the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, in a team that, again, is pretty stacked. Their offense looks pretty ready to go with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, as well as Aaron Jones having a resurgent season. This is all going to depend on what McCarthy does. Now, is him sitting on the sideline going to cure all of the rookie issues that they've ever had? No, of course not. He's going to make rookie mistakes because this is his first full year. But is that time sitting on the bench watching the game, is that going to help limit those mistakes? Or is he even going to transition to the NFL? At Michigan, he wasn't this grand passer. Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. He always has, and that's what he did at Michigan. So it's going to be very interesting to watch him transition to a more pass-heavy offense in Minnesota. You have to feed Jefferson. You have to feed Addison, which means you got to get rid of the ball more. So it's going to be very interesting to see how JJ McCarthy transitions to the NFL, especially after being out for a full year. And number 1, the Colts quarterback battle. This one's really interesting to me. You took Anthony Richardson a few years ago at number 4 overall, knowing he was going to be a project. You threw him in the starting role immediately. He ended up getting hurt, sat out the rest of the year. Second season literally was supposed to be a redemption year because he was learning from his mistakes, getting better, everything like that. I'd argue his second season was worse. I don't remember the last time I've ever seen an NFL quarterback tapping out because he's tired. I mean, come on, man, what are we doing here? Then when Richardson got hurt again in his second season, the Colts ended up signing Daniel Jones in the offseason. The Colts are one of those sneaky good teams. They have Michael Pittman, they have Jonathan Taylor, they have Josh Downs. They just drafted Tyler Warren. That is a very good-looking offense if you ask me. Their defense isn't anything to laugh at either. The Colts are a lot like the Dolphins with Tua, where their entire season can fall apart just because Richardson got hurt. So them bringing in Daniel Jones for a true competition, because yes, Chris Ballard said this is a true competition. Bringing those two guys in to compete with each other, I think is a great thing. It's going to light a fire under Anthony, as well as Daniel Jones is going to give him the biggest push he can because this is really his last shot too. Why I find it interesting though is both of these quarterbacks play completely different styles of football. Anthony Richardson getting it done with his legs, things like that. Daniel Jones is more of a pocket passer, and I mean, obviously you are not calling a lot of run plays for Daniel Jones. So I am very curious to see what this entire battle looks like, because if you're a GM and you're wanting Richardson's skill set and then you end up giving Daniel Jones a starter, your playbook is going to look a whole lot different, and vice versa. Obviously, I think the Colts have an idea of who they want. They want Richardson to be the guy. But if Daniel Jones does win, does that mean Richardson was just one of those busts that, you know, there was no development, overhyped and everything like that? Hard to say at this point. I mean, he's only in his 3rd year. He still has a lot of football left, so he could even get cut by the Colts and end up with a different team and then thrive there. We have no idea. So watching this quarterback battle is literally the number 1 thing I'm watching outside of, obviously, my team. Those are all the storylines that I'm really paying attention to going into the offseason. Did I miss any? Is there anything that's kind of flying under the radar that you guys know about? Let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. And I just want to thank everyone for watching and again helping me grow here. And I look forward to doing more of these videos throughout training camp. So make sure you're around for it. And until the next one, have a good one.